Okay. So I'm Toon, this is Eric. We co-founded a startup, it's called data.be, which has something to do with data analytics and stuff like that, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk to you about the Meetup we started on Fintech. And who knows about Fintech? This may be a first question. Show of hands, about 1/3 of the room. Well, it's going up to 1/2 for the ones hesitating what it's about. But so we started this group with a number of people who were active in Fintech. So Edebeck, that's Xavier's company, Data, that's ours, and we have Alessandro who's helping us out with the organization. And maybe if we go, that's where I get to hit the slides. Yeah, Eric, maybe if you want to.
Basically, we started in April, like saying, okay, Fintech is hot in other countries, like mainly London and Paris. But so we are thinking, like in Belgium, there are innovators and innovators in finance and technology, so we should gather them. And we were surprised because we started only in April, and the amount of people that sign up on the meetups were so huge. Like as for now, we are hitting almost the 500 members, and we only throw like 3 meetups. I know Data Science has been there for a long time, but we are trying to catch up. It's a very open format, so we are surprised by the amount of people interested in fintech, even if the market itself in Belgium in startup fintech is still a bit slow. So we are trying to just put people together and see if we can help just to meet other founders or other corporations in innovating in the fintech scene. You have all the links there if you want to join. It's very open format, so if you want to talk to us, we'll get back to that later.
To come back at my first question, what is fintech about? In the back of me, you see what was the homepage of Wells Fargo, a big American bank. And on all the small logos, they were not on their homepage, are actually all the startups trying to eat a little bit of everything a large bank was offering. And so fintech, for a large part, is about disrupting the financial industry, whether it's data brokers, insurers, banks, and so on. And many of the innovation comes from the technology part. And that maybe we're going to spend some time on this slide and the next one, because prior to this speech, we heard of the insurance industry. 2 great cases of what will be definitely disrupted. Because what they're still trying to do is very old school with new tools. They're trying what is a collectivized risk, what AXA is doing and all the other insurers do, is trying to have the information about the risk, get everybody to pay a little bit and then chip out when somebody is unlucky enough to have that risk. That's how it used to be. And what they're evolving to is using more and more data, and they used to be the only ones who had the data on actually the things going wrong and what your situation was. That is shifting. This room, if we sit together for a week, we don't need an insurer, because we can build a model with all the same sources they have, saying like, hey, I'm Toon Vanagt, you have my online profile, you can figure out which companies I have, where I live, what my house is worth, and all those things. And so where you used to have in the past a central gatekeeper that's set on the information, was the only one able to calculate the real risk, what is happening with fintech is that many people have the source at their disposal, and the means at their disposal now, to do the crunching themselves. And so I'm, of course, exaggerating by doing one startup weekend with this room, we would have a model that would would disrupt the banks. But just imagine the fact that, well, it's great. I mean, it's been a long time I've been in universities. Somebody put a bell curve on here. I can show you where I am. You pick the axis, I can prove you with my online profile and with my health records. And you were referring to, you have like a smartwatch. You can see when I'm sporting, how I'm recovering after I've been running, if I'm in good shape or not, or if I should run a little more. You can know where I am. I take a picture when my car window is broken, pick the axis, you can see where I am. And you can decide as a group, we know each other, we trust that guy, you know what? We'll collectivize the premium. If I pay to each of you €1 a month, will you insure my house? Maybe, maybe not. And so you have completely new models. This is the banking example, but the same for the insurance model, where you can collectivize without the need of a central party, because historically they were the only ones that had the capabilities to have actuaries and to crunch the data. And so that's the disruptive part. I know that the insurers are looking at it. We had a technology graph before. I saw the logos, Elasticsearch, we used that. There was some Spark, there was some Hadoop. If you look at this room, most people here master at least one of those tools. You put that together, you have the compute power you need. You spin up some machines on Amazon, and you can do a lot just on your own. So reverse the model. Set up the distribution part. Show by sharing my history publicly with that group of people that might want to be the underwriters of my insurance, I don't need a central gatekeeper anymore. And so our meetup is about discussing, showing samples of companies that have done it. These companies are fintech companies. And it's, I mean, this count was like a year ago. There were 248. This is mainly US. So we have lending. Lending, well-known one, Funding Circle, UK based. Ever anybody heard about Lending Circle? Yeah, only one person in the room. So the interesting point there is when banks in the UK now refuse a loan to somebody, the bank is by legislation obliged to give the customer the URL of the alternative lending platforms. What do these lending platforms do? I want to start a business. It's a startup. Very risky, right? I put up my business idea. I'm going to do this delivery of food by bike. And so I need to buy a few bikes. I'm going to hire some students. I'm going to put up a website. I need to find it for restaurants. Sounds simple, right? So I need 100,000 to start. The bank didn't trust my business plan. But if I find 10 people who put in 10,000 euro, I can launch my business. That's what Lending Circle does. Yeah, they chip in with underwriters. And it's one, not exactly their model, but many of them look at ways of people are proposing their own file where they used to go to a bank, they put it together, run to a site, and then people can bid. If you go to Holland, Geld voor elkaar, these are sites where you can actually just bid on somebody raising a business, and you get 8%, 10%, 15% yields. I mean, you don't get those at your bank, right? But you take the full risk. Yeah? And so that's another example. If we look at retail investments, Wealthfront, they have like a great interface where you can see, maybe in the old days you needed your wealth manager who would tell you, put some bonds and buy some shares on it and do a little bit of that and put your portfolio together. They have a startup doing it for you. At I don't know the exact rate, but it's like 0.05% or 0.05%, whatever. They don't care. It's about scale. Yeah? Equity financing, Angel Me, people teaming up together, setting up their own little type of VC fund, angel list type of things. You make your consortium, we like a startup, hey, I have a friend here, I have a friend over there, the three of us, we know each other, let's chip in and fund this, and we can follow up to the platform. I'm not going to run to all of them, I think it's pretty clear. There's well-known ones, less well-known, like just banking, simple. Yeah? Banks that go to like one core thing, one card and everything happens from there. You do the application online, you get your card, a little bit like what other banks are trying to do over here. Stripe for payments. Why do we need complicated payment providers? You just have one snippet of code, you put it in your website, and you can take any card in the world. Yeah. So that's what, from a technology and fintech point of view, what we try to discuss in our meetups.
Yeah. So you would ask, like, what is the link between data science and fintech? Actually, when you see data scientists are kind of the new guys using new tools to bring kind of new value into banking insurance, and it's the finance part. But if you group that together with entrepreneurships, then you get to the startups world and say, okay, a lot of the barrier that's existing before is now gone. So it is a matter of time before like data scientists like you and entrepreneur maybe like you too teams up together and come to that kind of solution. So what we are discussing in the meetup is basically try to gather these two worlds together. So we do speed dating. A typical meetup is 30 minutes of speed dating, just because people like it. Like, we were surprised. We were like, yeah, speed dating is a bit weird for a meetup, but it works really fine. Like, we had a hard time pulling up people out of it. Like, they were still running, and we were like, yeah, we need to start because the next speaker is going to start now. Speed dating, and then we have two kind of presentation: the startup and then corporation, because both are trying to innovate on their own. So the idea is just to see what are the bridge that could be between these two, and then of course the meet and greet. So lately we have been doing different subjects. So Moniz was speaking a bit earlier. Even someone from Fintech London came to meet us and see, okay, what are you guys doing in Belgium? We are interested. It's moving very fast in London. In London, it's not like you have one Fintech meetup. It's like you have a network and a page of Fintech meetups in London. So it's crazy. Same things. The tax shelter and the digital Belgium was going really hot in June. So people were asking, okay, what does it change? So we did a special topics on that. And then lately we were talking about digital payments and the way you can innovate either on the PSP level, so the payment providers that we mentioned before, and how even big corporations are still innovating on that way for fraud detection and risk detection, or sign to pay, which are more targeting the mobile world. So it's really about kind of merging the startups and the corporate world.
Maybe, and so the type of subject we want to matter are very, very wide. So they range from the presentations, but we would also like to think, and that's why we make a call to all of you, if you want to think or speak about algorithmic accountancy, accountability, I mean. This is a hot topic. We have a lot of data at our disposal, all of us combined in this room, I guess. We can do a lot of stuff with it. You can do it for good or for bad. Yeah? And so we are putting the algorithms in the systems and that are used by those silos that still exist in marketing and afterwards and how you bring the products to the market. But you can also use them for bad. And if you look at like a Google car, it's just one big sensor. It's taking in a lot of data and it has to make decisions. Am I going to crash into the children standing over there, or to the wall over here? The children are soft, so the survival rate of my passengers will be much higher. If I crash into the wall, my passenger will be dead, but I will save the children waiting over there. This is a very extreme example, but that's what the algorithm designer of the self-driving car will at some point have to do. Or will you allow the driver of the car to say, I want my algorithm to raise my survival rate setting? It's more. Then your insurer will say, aha, but if you choose this driving mode, it's more expensive because we have to reimburse the parents of all the dead children. Yeah? So, and this is the type of discussions we'd like to have with the data scientists and the big data people too, which goes further than just building your startup and doing something cool, but to realize that we are all I saw the picture of the cowboys and the fancy chairs. I've been doing startups for 15 years. I haven't seen those fancy chairs around, by the way. But we do have a responsibility. We get to play around. It's very early days, but we also get to set certain standards and certain things. And I think it's important that we realize that we do have a certain responsibility when we treat those big data sets and that we try to use them for good and not bad, or even expose the ones that we see, or have a debate about it. Do you want this? Yeah. So anyway, that was. I would love to have a topic about that in one of our next ones. So this is a public call for anybody that wants to speak about that.
We are also teaming up with local events because it's also about doing like data science, doing data science for good. Same for us. Like fintech is a bit different, but it's kind of more hackathon field for now. But the idea is that the Startup Weekend Fintech and the International Hackathon are two events that went in June and just in October right now, just to get your hands on and see. Okay, what can we do? What can we try to think of as a new model, or even try on real data? And we are welcoming a new events or new ideas to do that, and we try to promote them as much as we can. So basically, the message is clear. Like, it's a very open format, like this one. If you want to discuss finance, technology, startups, whatever, just come to us, and we'll find a way to interact with you.
Q&A time. And I believe we were the last speaker, so we are standing between you and the end of the evening, right? No, we're not? Ah, that's good news. Ah, great. Okay, well.
There's synergies to be found between our two communities. So we have plenty of time for questions for our two friends here, so please shoot.
We have plenty of time, now we need questions, right? Go ahead. When is the next Meetup plan? No, it's a very good question. You need to follow our Meetup group to be informed about that one. This is about...
It was end of November, but we still need to align the speakers.
So if there's somebody here from a financial institution and you have a big meeting, event room, you'd like to sponsor the event, please step forward. So typically once every 6 weeks we try to have an event.
Yeah. And where are the events most of the time?
So far it has always been in Brussels, or like this meetup too, but we did find out by organizing other meetups, like Eric and myself also organized the Elasticsearch meetup, that by doing them more like remote rural villages like Antwerp or Ghent, you know, you do get a new crowd. Because some of those people don't leave their parking lots to come all the way to Brussels, you know. I know I'm pushing it. I hope not offending anybody here, but it's a fact that if you go out to other cities, you get new people who don't come to Brussels. Because as you know, it's very dangerous here. You've seen the statistics. You have the data, right? More questions? I saw one hesitating in the back. Go ahead. No, you were trying to get out of the room very discreetly. I just ruined that plan.
Correct. I'm sure that there will still be conversations going on afterwards. But yeah, I don't know. Thank you. Yeah.